Okay, so I'm just making a quick video to recap what we did in the Zoom lesson yesterday. Partly just a reminder for everyone, and also there are a few people absent, so hopefully this will give you a little bit of guidance about what you need to do this week and submit. So there's no submission attached to the post this video is linked to, because it's on the previous yesterday's assignment that I set. So we're starting the coursework, and as you can see on the slide here, it's all about a fictitious golf and country club. So the first point I'd make is that Newtown Golf and Country Club doesn't exist in real life. However, in order to help us understand what it would be like, we base it on a place that does exist, and that place is called Three Rivers Golf Club, which is in Cold Norton in Essex. One of the reasons I picked that place is because it's got a good website, so you can find out all about it. But the place in itself is fictitious. So all the work we do, we need to be thinking how it would apply to this golf and country club. Now, a couple of quick points about the golf and country club, how it sort of operates as a business. So obviously one of the main things it's got is a golf course. So people go there to play golf. Which is a sport. It's quite a sociable activity. Now, the main way this operates is people are members. So what that means is they don't, you don't sort of just turn up, pay an amount and then play. The vast majority of people who use the golf course will be members, so they'll pay a yearly membership or maybe a monthly membership, but probably yearly in most cases. And then they go and play as much as they want. There'll be different membership options. There might be some where you can only play Monday to Friday, and others where you can play any day you like. But that's the basic way it's organised. It's quite expensive, so you know, a common sort of price would be well over £1,000 for a year's sort of membership to a golf club like this. And you go and play golf. There's more to it than that. There's also a big sort of clubhouse building, and that will have like a restaurant, bar, things like that in it. So when people go and play golf, but then they might have lunch, have some drinks with their friends or whatever. The one in particular we're looking at, so this fictitious one, and also the one Three Rivers that we use, it's also got a gym and sort of spa sort of facilities. So again, when we talk about customers, we might have a different set of customers. You might have some who play golf and use those things, but there might be other people who come just to use the gym, for example, and they might just be a member of the gym, which of course would be a different price, different arrangement to if you're a member of the golf course side of things. As well as a golf course, there's also a professional golfer who gives lessons, so you can book lessons and pay and have lessons there. There's also a shop that sells golfing equipment as part of the golf club. The other thing that it's got, which is sort of separate to the golf course, is because it's in very nice surroundings, the grounds are very beautiful, and it's got a nice building. It's actually like a venue for things like weddings and things like that. So some people who aren't members, who have got nothing to do with the golf course, have never played golf in their life, have got no interest in it, may still be sort of one-off customers to use it as a wedding venue or to attend a wedding that someone's having there. Okay, so in this one example of a golf and country club, actually it's almost like there's a number of different businesses going on within the same one. Okay, so that's the basic premise. I would say a good first thing to do is to go onto the website of Three Rivers, which you'll see the web address in a minute on one of the next slides, and just have a good look around the whole website to try and get a feel of what the business is, what type of things they offer, and start imagining in your mind what type of person would use this sort of business. So the main objectives of the lesson I did was to understand overall what we're doing and then look at specifically what you need to do this week. Because what we're going to do is we go through the weeks, we're going to do different sections of the coursework. So instead of it being sort of one huge task that's difficult to tackle, we're going to tackle it in sort of bite-sized chunks. So the tasks are listed very clearly on the PDF document that outlines what you've got to do. Again, good starting place. Read that cover to cover. It's not very long, but have a good read through so you understand what you've got to do. It also gives you the assessment criteria that I will use when I mark your work. So that's a really important document. It was attached to yesterday's lesson. I'll attach it to this one as well, so you can see that. That's really important. Have a good look through. You'll see that the coursework is split into two main tasks, 1 and 2, and then within that, each one of those is split into part A and B, and then there's some sort of subsections within those, normally about sort of 3 to 5 in each. So there's it's those subsections we'll look at separately. So rather than this huge task, it's lots of smaller ones. And generally, certainly the first bit, you're imagining that you're writing a report for the people who sort of own or run this golf club to tell them about their customers and their communication with them. Here's the slide that tells you about the real golf club. So Newtown Golf and Country doesn't exist, but this place does. Three Rivers Golf Club in Essex, www.threeriversclub.com. That should be your first port of call to have a good look at. And a lot of what you do in the coursework is you take, like, if you like, the textbook theory of the things we're talking about, but then you apply it to the example of this golf and country club. So what would that look like in a golf and country club? That's really the challenge of the coursework, to translate your general understanding to a more specific example. So this is the first bit. This is this week's task. You're going to be writing a written report, fine, and the first bit of that written report is this week's task, which is an explanation for Newtown Golf and Country Club of who its customers are and what influences their behaviour when using their services. So there's sort of two parts of that: who the customers are, part one, and what influences their behaviour. You could do those separately or you could put them together. That doesn't matter, but you need to cover both bits to meet the pass criteria. Pages 107 to 109 in the textbook are your friends here, because that's the section about who customers are and what influences their behaviour. I would advise you to look at those pages and look at the subheadings and actually use those subheadings in your work. There's no problem with that. I'm going to give you an example. So I'm thinking, what do we mean, the different types of customers? I look in the textbook and see actually there are a number of categories, external and internal. So two main categories there. So I might do external, internal, say what each is. And then I think what that would be for a golf and country club. So internal people that work there. So one example I'll give you. I mentioned that there's a golfing professional who gives lessons. He or she may well be an internal customer of the people who work on reception, because for that golfing professional to do their job effectively, they're relying, so like they're a customer of the reception department to maybe book the appointments for the lessons. Okay, so they're an internal customer of them. External, you'll see in the book, is everyone outside. So that's sort of everyone else. So I might just say that and then go on to look at them in more detail. And then it gives me different categories. So returning customers, one-off customers. Well, think about what I've said about the golf course. So returning customers, anyone who's a member is a returning customer. So they're important. But again, you should be able to give quite a lot of detail. We've got the members of the golf course, the gym, so on and so forth. So you can think about all the different types of customers there. One-off customers, maybe that's more like the wedding venue. So the idea is that you can use a textbook to give the different categories. You can use a textbook to give some general, like what a returning customer is, what a one-off customer is. But then the important bit is translating that into, well, what does that look like for a golf and country club, this golf and country club? You can use the website to give you a good idea, but also there is an element of needing to use a bit of imagination, needing to use common sense and filling in the gaps. Okay, the information's not all laid out for you necessarily. It does need to be obviously your work and thinking to think about what that might look like. It should be quite detailed. Remember, the level is A level and it's coursework, not an exam. So please don't think that returning customers writing 3 lines, oh, this is the members, and then moving on is going to be good enough. It's not. You should be describing in detail. So for example, you might, well, moving on, when we're talking about then the second part of this, what influences their behaviour? Again, the textbook will show you location might influence behaviour. Well, for each one different type of customer you've identified, think, how would location affect them? One example, I would say members will probably, location will be a big deal. They'll probably live within maybe a 20-minute drive of the golf club. Because if I'm a member, if I'm paying lots of money and I want to use it regularly, I'm not going to want to be too far away. Gym members would maybe want to be even closer. You're not necessarily going to want to drive a total of an hour just to do a 45-minute gym workout. You're probably going to want to be quite local. Meanwhile, wedding venue, they might be willing to travel a lot further. People might, if they're only coming once, might travel a long way to visit a venue. So, and there's other things, about satisfaction services. So the general ideas, the types of things you need to include, the textbook really helps you with. Look at the subheadings. But then, then it's on you to look at the website and think, well, what would this look like for a golf and country club? So that's the task for this week. And what that should look like in the end is probably a couple of pages with subheadings of all from the book, and then decent sort of paragraphs or maybe more for some of the bigger ones about what that would look like in this example.